Hey guys, wanted to make a video for any new players coming into Lost Ark who are wondering how they should even approach this monster of a game. What kind of a mindset should a brand new player have? This whole thing's gonna be pretty loosey-goosey. I'm just gonna throw out any general advice that I can think of. The first thing I've got to say is to just enjoy the game at your own pace. I know every MMO feels like a race to who can get to the end game the fastest, but you'll only ever get one first playthrough of Lost Ark, so just try to enjoy it, especially considering you're probably gonna be playing through this campaign multiple times if you're trying out different characters, which you probably should. Try to enjoy the characters and the story as much as you can on your first playthrough, because you're going to be spending like an insane amount of time here. You're probably going to miss out on some mechanics being explained to you as well if you just hammer the skip key every time anything comes up. On your subsequent playthroughs, you can just skip through every dialogue and cutscene when they come up. You could at least do these poor NPCs the honor of letting them talk like one time. I think the story has some really great moments in it, especially towards the second half of the game, so I think you should give it a chance if you're up for it. In that same vein, I recommend you don't overload yourself with guides and wiki pages and giant Google Docs on your first playthrough. I promise you, you'll get a grasp on the game's mechanics and how the end game works and all that by just playing through at your own pace. Life skills, sailing, island management, playing dress up, dungeons, crafting, and complaining on Reddit will all come with time, I promise. I remember being terrified of all the different mechanics and terminology and currencies and everything when I first started out, but the game does a pretty good job of explaining everything to you at a nice, even pace, so just enjoy your journey. If you're starting to get bored during the leveling process and you just want to get to the end game as quick as possible, just don't do any side quests, only do main story missions, and just rush through them until you're at the end game. I'd still recommend paying attention to the cutscenes and the dialogue, but it's totally up to you if you don't want to. If you're starting to get burnt out from all the combat, it's a good idea to maybe focus on some life skills or work on your island stronghold for a little bit to mix things up. Putting on a TV show or listening to some music or a podcast or something while you're doing some fishing is like ridiculously therapeutic. You're probably going to end up doing life skill stuff sooner or later, so it really doesn't hurt to get some materials stockpiled early on. You don't need to worry about min-maxing your life skills or your estate management or anything like that. Both of these things are mainly for end-game content, so just do them whenever you feel like it. Something I really regret not doing early on is trying out different classes. In Lost Ark, you choose an archetype before going into the prologue, and then once the prologue is complete, you'll be able to choose one of the classes that fall within that archetype. What's really nice is that you get to experiment with each of these classes in a little training zone before you lock in on your choice. You'll be able to use some of their abilities against trash mobs and like bosses and stuff, and I really recommend giving different classes a try, even if you've made up your mind completely on who you want to play as. I remember being really surprised at just how much I loved playing as the Shadow Hunter. You know, reading characters' abilities on paper just isn't the same as actually getting to try them out yourself. You can always back out, choose another archetype, and just skip the prologue entirely if you want to get to that training area to try out each of the classes in that group. Lost Ark really encourages you to have a lot of different characters on the same account, so feel free to experiment and broaden your horizons. Playing with friends can also be a lot of fun in Lost Ark. During the leveling process, you'll get separated into solo missions every now and again during like important story levels and whatnot, but for the majority of the game you can play through with a couple of friends and it really makes for a great time. Just make sure your channel in the top right is the same as your friends, or else you won't be able to see each other. Most in-game content is focused on multiplayer, so having a buddy to do like PvP with or raids with will make your life a whole lot easier. It also helps you narrow things down so you can only blame one random on your team instead of like 2 or 3 of them. If you don't have any friends to play with, then that's really embarrassing. But I would recommend that you join a guild. You can make friends pretty easily in there, and you're rewarded for participating in guilds, so even if you don't like anyone in there, you can still profit off of them. Lastly, just be sure to have fun in any way that you like. There's like a ridiculous amount of stuff to do in Lost Ark, and your time is going to be rewarded for engaging with basically any of it. If you just want to do PvP for like 500 hours straight, then just go ahead. If taking down huge raid bosses is all you're interested in, then you do you. And if you can't afford a Nintendo Switch, then just play Animal Crossing in Lost Ark. Yeah, there's no Anka in the game yet. I mean, it sucks, but it's a live service game, man. Who knows what the future holds? She could be in the next update. Speaking of live service, we are very fortunate to have Smilegate developing Lost Ark. The team is ridiculously passionate about Lost Ark, and they're constantly working on improving every single aspect of it. Watching just a few minutes of any of their presentations is proof enough at how much these guys love this game, and I really hope all of you do as well. You all have an amazing journey ahead of you, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the release coming very soon. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.